and you're talking about mentors and people that were here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've like encapsulated the Oregon wine community and how generous and like
that was the draw. I mean,
right.
when I told Sid too, you know, when I was working my first harvest, I said, this is the community here is.
Well, he was working 12 and Maple, and he was working with Hannah Miller at 12 and Maple for the harvest. And I came down, didn't have a job, just flew down here.
That was my fault. I said I will definitely get you a job by the time you get here.
So I was sleeping on the cot in Mac's little room, and he's like, hey, this girl, Hannah Miller, their parents have a 20-acre vineyard in Dundee. Like, hey, you should go talk to them. Maybe you could just, I don't know, work for them or something, whatever. I'm like, okay, so I met with them, and they're like salt of the earth, nicest people. And they're like, hey, we have some friends who just bought property in Yamhill Carlton, right between Beacon Hill and Fairsaint. They're like, a vineyard right there, it's called Sisu. And they're like, yeah, you want to work for them? I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't know much about vines, so it's like I was able to learn from the ground up because I talked to them. They taught me how to prune and do all that kind of stuff. So, and then it's just working with different wineries. It's like you can call them whenever you want because it's like you have a bond with them then, so it's pretty cool.
Right, and you have a bond. I can't remember the vineyard. I can't remember the person, so my apologies.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was like the Pinot Gris.
Right.
Is like
so that's the Millers who we got the Pinot Gris from. Yeah, so they I forget how many acres of Pinot Gris they have, but they have a ton of Pinot Noir. They do a bunch of the Chardonnay they just planted. But it's like very cool to finally be able to ask, hey, can we get some fruit from you and make it? And that was actually the first wine we ever bottled in this facility, which is really cool. And it's called the Miller Family Cuvée, so that's kind of cool, kind of a homage.
That is cool.
Yeah. So.
And then you have like a connection. I can't remember names off the top of my head, but up at Luminous Hills, right?
Totally right, and so that's definitely been for me my mentor, and Sid too. I mean, throughout this whole thing. But so when I was working at 12th and Maple, one of the winemakers that goes through there is Byron Dubois. So he's the owner, winemaker for Seven Hearts and Luminous Hills, and so it was kind of my goal going into that, knowing that it was a big production facility. Right. Which is amazing. I mean, it's state of the art. They do everything from, big labels, pushing out, 100,000 cases, but they also cater to the smaller producer too. So someone like Byron, who at the time was doing, 4,000 to 5,000 cases a year. So, anyways, in the back of my head, I said, I really want to make a connection with a small producer and kind of go from there. And it was actually on the bottling line that I was really introduced to Byron's wines. I was seeing go by me Pinot Noir, Rosé, Syrah, Tannat, Merlot. Just so at the time he was doing 20 plus different varietals for one vintage. I was like, who is this guy? So just as fate would have it, he was actually looking for someone in the tasting room. Lars was the tasting room manager at the time, so that's our connection. But we just kind of hit it off from there, and so it's 7 years that I've been working for Byron. So
that's amazing. And so that connection with Byron is kind of like part of the reason why you have all these extra varietals.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Right? So for next year, you're looking at a Sauv Blanc, Rosé, Pinot, Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah, and a Cab.
Right.
That's amazing.
We're very stoked about it.
Totally, yeah. So our plan, kind of going forward from here, is obviously we'll do Pinot each and every year. So we planted this vineyard back in 2018. It's about 5 acres. So when it's all said and done, we'll probably get close to about 600 cases of Pinot from here, which for us, I feel like we're a small producer. That's more than enough Pinot to work with a year. But what we want to do is kind of fill that out with wines. Kind of on a rotation basis. So varieties of spice of life is kind of our theory. So the beauty about winemaking here in the Willamette is we're so close to Columbia Valley, and we just, even back in Wisconsin, we loved going to the bottle shop and pulling wines from Walla Walla, Columbia Valley just in general. So our goal is to produce kind of a rotational wines from there as well. So it's, a 4-hour trek for me and the truck and trailer just to go grab some fruit, bring it back here to process. So it's been a lot of fun. So we started that back in 2018. So we did a Tempranillo and Nebillo in 2018.
Right.
So 2020 we're doing the Cab, and then this year we did Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and Sauv Blanc. So we're having fun with it, and it's tasting good so far.
It's tasting fine. Sounds good. It's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting that in a few years you might actually gravitate to to maybe some other varietals, or not other varietals, but like I really like this, or I like doing the Mourvedre, or
Well, that's what we learned from Byron was he would just be like, oh, like even this last year he made a Barbera. He's like, oh, I've just been drinking a lot of Barbera.
Right.
And he's like, I want to make it. It's like, okay, cool. So it's kind of like they have so many varieties up there. It's like, why not if you can?
Exactly.
Yeah. If not, if it doesn't turn out, we'll just drink it ourselves.
You'll have a lot of extra, like family Thanksgiving. And
right.
Yeah.
Last for years and years.
Exactly.
But so this next year we're already talking about. So we did kind of Rhone Valley varietals this year with the reds. We're thinking about going back to Bordeaux and doing kind of a traditional Bordeaux blend, so Cab, Merlot, Cab Franc kind of style. So yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.